Adonai Shomrecha. Betzilcha al yad yaminecha. Yomam hashemesh lo yakeka ve'yareach balayla. Adonai yishmorcha mikora, yishmor et nafshecha. Adonai yishmor tzecha uvoecha, me'ata v'ad olam. Adonai yishmor tzecha uvoecha, me'ata v'ad olam. Al mekoma tavo v'shalom. We open with the chanting of a psalm which I'll now recite in English. The psalm is Psalm 121, in Hebrew called Shir LaMa'alot, a song for ascents. I turn my eyes to the mountains. From where will my help come? My help comes from Adonai, from God, maker of heaven and earth. God will not let your foot give way, your guardian will not slumber. You see, the guardian of Israel neither slumbers nor sleeps. God is your protection, your guardian at your right hand. By day the sun will not strike you, nor the moon by night. God will guard you from all harm. God will guard your life. God will guard your going and coming, now and forever. May Shirley Broder go unto God in peace. Hatzur tamim paulo kichol racham mishpat el emunah ve'inav el tzadik v'yasharhu tzadik atadonai lamidu lahachayot asher b'yadcha b'gadon kol ruchot chalil lecha zichronenu limchot v'yihiyu nainecha v'rachamim aleinu fekuchot ki lecha adon harachamim ve'aslichot. Adonai natan v'Adonai lakach Ishem Adonai mevorach. God gives, God takes, blessed be the name of God. V'hu rachum yichaber avon v'lo yashchid v'yirba l'shiva po v'yirko chamato v'yashov ha'afar al haaretz she'haya v'haruach tashuv elai Elohim asher netana. The dust returns to the earth as it was, but the spirit returns to God who gave it. May Shirley's soul be bound up in the bond of life eternal, and may God send comfort to those who mourn and grant strength to those whose burden is sorrow. Thank you all for coming here. Thank you to those of you who cannot be with us here at the Shaarey Zedek Cemetery, but have tuned into the broadcast as well. As we've gathered together, family are here, friends, and a community, paying tribute to and honoring Shirley Broder. Sarah bat Pesach ve'Esther Rachel, the daughter of Esther and Peter Shapiro, Zichronam Livracha, of blessed memory. We are here to celebrate her life, to show her the ultimate sign of respect in Jewish tradition, to accompany her to her final resting place, and we are here to say goodbye. Shirley passed away Thursday morning, the 11th day in the Hebrew month of Av. She was 91, having just recently celebrated her birthday. She is survived by her family, by her children, Harley, Anita and Lion, Ellery and Libby, Richard and Carol, by her grandchildren, Jeremy and Jennifer, Daniel and Lara, Matthew and Vicky, Tamara, Josh, Jonathan, Aaron and Renzo, Ethan, Seth, by her great-grandchildren, Maya, Dahlia, Amalia, Cheo, and Leo, and by her sister-in-law, Betty Shapiro. Shirley was predeceased by her parents, Esther and Peter, and by her brother, Sam, and by her husband of 63 years, Morris. Zichronam livracha, all of them of blessed memory. I'm honored to be here today with all of you to pay tribute and to get the opportunity to deliver the hesped, the eulogy, after sitting with Shirley's family, not just in recent days, but for the last several months, with our relationship that I'm very fond of at the Simkin Center. As I suspected and I've learned, family came first for Shirley Broder. Her life really revolved around her kids. And it makes sense. She had 4 children in 10 years, becoming a mom the first time when she was not even 20. But the role of mother quickly became a focal point of her identity and of her life. She was always there, always present for all 4 of her kids. She never said no, it was never about her, always giving and giving. And as Ellery put it, if back then there had been the term helicopter parenting, she would have been whatever the giant military grade version of helicopter is for parents. Still, she was always kind-hearted. You could even call her a softie. She left the discipline to Morris. She was always making excuses. Her kids never, ever did anything wrong. But as a mother, she was also a natural, a born mom. Makes sense. Her Hebrew name, Sarah, of course, the first mother, fiercely protective, a terrific mother. And so was Shirley, with an intuition she possessed that cannot be taught, that she just honed over years of experience and unconditional motherly love. Even on the phone, hundreds of miles away, with one of her kids, she could just tell by the sound in their voices if something was up. When she became a grandmother, a Bobby, her love continued and extended to all of her grandkids. And the cottage at Winnipeg Beach, a place that had been special when her kids were young, became a place continuing, and how special it was into new generations, where every summer grandkids could gather and make memories and ensure the close family bonds that exist today, even living in different cities. But let's be honest. Morris loved the cottage, and Shirley just went along with what Morris loved when it came to the cottage, because it was a lot of work. And she was always the one cleaning, because it was always dirty and sandy, and she often had to cook in the middle of the night after people had gone to bed, because they were always hosting, and there was always folks coming out at the beach every single night. And of course, Shirley and the kids were out there all summer long, but still a place of great memories. The Winnipeg grandkids also enjoyed the benefits of sleepovers, where Shirley would often kick Morris out of bed to make room for the kids. There were other trademark ways she was always showing her love for her family. Of course, in her cooking. There was always a ton of food in the Broder house. In her hosting, she prepared for 4 guests coming over as if there were 20. She and Morris truly had an active social life with a wide circle of friends with whom they regularly got together, and she, of course, loved to host and loved to do all the work by herself. And on memorable occasions, she opened their home to host big events, whether it was their first house in Garden City or later the home on Laidlaw. Richard's bar mitzvah party was just an example, a big party, and she hosted the whole thing in their home and did all of the cooking. Of course, she showed her love in her worrying. She was always worrying. Even until very recently, she'd always follow up phone conversations with, "Did you eat?" Warnings like, "Don't go outside, it's snowing." Worrying about everyone else but herself, of course. Let's not forget, when talking about Shirley's great attributes, her soft spot for animals. She loved animals, and there were various species who graced the Broder home for years, all starting with the famous story of a pet cat she adopted when she and Morris were first married and living in Kingston in the early 50s. He was doing a locum there as a young doctor. The cat turned out to be a wild lynx Shirley had brought into the house. So that's where that whole business started. Like a true Eshet Chayil, a woman of valor, she exuded elegance and grace. She loved fashion, she loved jewelry, and she was always well put together before she'd leave the house. She came from humble beginnings. Born and grew up in Winnipeg with an older brother, Sam. The Shapiros, her parents, Esther and Peter, were both immigrants from Europe, and they owned and ran a store on Talbot, which meant they were working all the time and that Shirley and the family lived behind that store. Later on, they lived in the North End on Inkster. As a little girl, adorable Shirley Shapiro earned reputations for looking like Shirley Temple, and the pictures I've been shown actually really do bear that resemblance. Within her family, though they didn't have much at all, they still managed to spoil her. She was doted on. She always managed to get the fur coat or the dress. It was a very classic home of that time in which the family spoke Yiddish, which came in handy when Shirley used to speak, or rather yell, at Morris in Yiddish throughout their married lives together. So her Yiddish background was very, very handy. Those married years together totaled 63, from 1951 until he passed 10 years ago in 2014. It all started when they first met, and Shirley found herself in the uncomfortable position of being in Morris's childhood home, being interrogated by her future mother-in-law, who did not believe Shirley was Jewish. So she was asking her a series of questions to ascertain the truth. Well, Shirley passed. She and Morris were married in July 1951. Their family began very shortly after. They were devoted to each other. Soulmates, best friends. And they were always together, it seemed. Shirley even accompanied Morris in the car when he went on house calls. She would wait for him in the car, even when 5 minutes turned into a couple of hours. But she did it. She actually got her real estate license at one point, her family told me, but Morris asked her not to practice because he just liked her with him, around. 63 years around, together, and they were great. Shirley Broder was a gentle soul. Her many friends have echoed the words of her family and spoken fondly about her throughout their lives and relationships with her. Like a true righteous person, wherever she goes, her deeds will speak her praise. Deeds born from her core values: family, loving people, championing the underdog, compassion for the less fortunate, always striving to make peace. I'm fortunate that I got to know her in the last several months of her life as a resident at the Simkin Center. And I can tell you that every occasion I had to run into her, I was met with a smile, a warm greeting, and not surprisingly, I will regularly and fondly think of her being surrounded, as she would have loved, by family. She also, a fun tidbit, preferred the rain to a sunny day. So though today is sunny and warm, her family found great comfort in the fact that on Thursday morning when she decided to leave, she noticed that it was a rainy day, and she decided to go out in the rain. May Shirley Broder's memory be a blessing, and may she rest in peace. We'll now chant the El Malei Rachamim in her honor. El Malei Rachamim, Shochein Bameromim, Hamsei Menucha Nechona Tachat Kanfei Hashchina, B'malot Kedoshim Uteorim, Kizohar Arakim Mazirim, Enishmat Sarah bat Pesach v'Esther Rachel Shelcha le'olama Began Edente Menuchata Anabal Harachamim Hastirei Abesete Kenafecha Leolamim Utzror Bitzror Achaim Enishmata Adonai Hu Nachalata V'tanuach B'shalom Al Mishkava V'nomar Amen. Exalted, compassionate God, Grant infinite rest in your sheltering presence among the holy and the pure to the soul of Shirley Broder, who has gone to her eternal home. Merciful One, we ask that she find perfect peace in your eternal embrace. May her soul be bound up in the bond of life. May she rest in peace. And together let us say, Amen. Again, thank you to everyone for being here with us at the Zedek Cemetery. There will be a meal of consolation after we are done here at the cemetery. Please take your time. But there will be a meal of consolation. Continue to tell stories about Shirley and to comfort her family at the Simpkins Center, 1 Falconridge Drive in Linden Woods at the Simpkins Center. The Shiva, the family, will be receiving visitors Monday and Tuesday, tomorrow and Tuesday at Ellery and Libby's home, 940 Queenston Bay. Both days in the afternoon, 2 to 4, and 7 to 9 in the evening, and they'll daven in the evening around 7:20, both of the nights. In a moment we will recite the Mourner's Kaddish, and then we will have an opportunity, after the family leads us, everyone who is present, to participate in the ritual, the mitzvah of shoveling earth into the grave, our closing ritual, our familiar closing ritual in Jewish tradition. You'll see there are multiple shovels so that people can line up on both sides and participate. Over the years, I've noticed many customs. Most people pour 3 shovelfuls of earth. Some people will use the front of the shovel. Some people will use the back of the shovel. Some people will turn it midway. One of the explanations I heard for why I use the back of the shovel is disapproving, kind of an expression of being unhappy with the situation. For the same sort of reason why sometimes people will pass the shovel to the next person, or others will just return it to the earth. For me, the custom with which you are familiar, the custom that resonates with you, you should embrace to make the ritual as meaningful as possible. But again, we can all participate because the idea in Jewish tradition is that to bury somebody, to accompany her to her final resting place, and to bury her with our own hands that held her hands, that is the highest form of respect. And so we do it as a community. And again, most people pour 3 shovelfuls. There's a small pail just over here where I'm pointing, so that if you want to participate but you don't want to use one of the big shovels, you can still do the mitzvah of shoveling earth into the grave. And for anyone who feels that it's something painful to do, we recognize it's true, but we remind ourselves it's an act born of love and compassion for someone who made her life taking care of others. We remind ourselves of that. Throughout the service, we've said the words of Job, the epitome of suffering in Jewish tradition, and we mention them again here in conclusion. Adonai natan v'Adonai lakach, yehi shem Adonai mevorach. God gives, God takes, blessed be the name of God. May Shirley Broder's memory be a blessing as we mark that her essence will never leave our hearts and our souls. We turn now to the words of the Mourner's Kaddish. Yitgadal v'yitgadash shemei Rabah. Be'alma divra chirutei ve'amlich malchutei. B'chayechon uvyomechon uvchaye dechol beit Yisrael. Ba'agala uvizman kari v'imru amen. Yehe shmei Rabah mevorach le'olam ulamei almaya. Yiparach v'yishtabach v'yipa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh. V'yithadar v'yitalev v'yitalal shemei dekudsha brichu. Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechemata, damiran be'alma v'imru amen. Yehe shlama Rabah min shemaya, v'chaim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Oseh shalom b'imromav, hu yaseh shalom. Aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. May the one who creates peace and harmony on high bring peace and harmony to us, to all Israel, to all humanity, and again we can say Amen. To the family we say, Hamakom yinachem etchem betoch sha'ar avelei Tzion v'Yerushalayim. May you be comforted and consoled among all those who are or who have ever been in mourning in our community. Again, thank you to the family for the honor of being here. Thank you to everyone for being here. And I invite the family to come forward and lead us.
No, no.